So if we look at the blog posts, not blog posts, the Twitter post that was today, I believe, right? I took a nap, so I'm kind of losing days. The Twitter post, we have listened to your feedback, and we have some adjustment to fleet carriers and Tritium. Click here for details. And the feedback, in case you're wondering what's going on, Frontier did a nerf on ice belts with mining, which was aimed to throttle back the effectiveness of multiple hotspots overlapped, namely with low temperature diamonds. Tritium got caught in the crossfire of this and got nerfed pretty bad to where people couldn't even travel because the Tritium was like non-existent. They've since buffed the Tritium to where it's there, but it's not nowhere near like it was before, namely in double and triple hotspots. So still fleet carriers were struggling to stay fueled and in a reasonable amount of time. I guess that's the term, because it would take you, I don't know, 100, you get like 100 tons of tritium, maybe 150 tons of tritium per hour on a good day. And that's enough for, at the time, that wasn't even one jump. So you're looking at multi-hours of mining for one jump in the old system. So this is what Frontier did today. Make this bigger. We'd like to talk about the recent patches and the change we have made to the live game. Since the release of fleet carriers, we've made changes intended to balance over. They just pretty much are saying what I repeated. I could have just read this. We've made changes intended to balance the overwhelming effect of overlapping hotspots, with the latest update resolving the cause of this issue and bringing hotspots back in line with our original goals. So that, I think that's a pretty definitive statement that the last patch brought things in there within their expectations. Singular hotspots now provide a significant bonus to a resource's frequency over the rest of the ring, and areas where multiple hotspots overlap are still more lucrative than their non-overlap counterparts, but at much more reasonable levels. One effect of the latest patch that we felt could be improved further was how it impacts tritium. The reduction in availability of tritium, most notably at overlapping hotspots, has made getting around the galaxy by mining the commodity more time-consuming than we would like. In order to maintain the new, more natural distribution of tritium within icy asteroid rings, we will instead be increasing its effect. Tritium is now twice as potent, allowing fleet carriers to consume 50% less fuel. This includes the base tritium requirement, and effectively doubling the capacity of their fuel tank. This change should be effective immediately, but players may still see old values until they next log in. Thank you as always to our community and your ongoing feedback. Okay. So yeah, what they did was that they doubled your jump range or your jump capacity with tritium. So what if you can take the old values of what tritium once was, just double it, which is kind of insane. So what does this do? This frees you from worrying about have to mine tritium. In essence, if you do have to mine tritium, it shouldn't take you long to mine a single jump. So that's one of the positive effects of this. You don't have to worry about mining tritium as much. And if you manage to get a full hold of tritium, you're good for a very, very, very long time. Some people in Discord, I haven't calculated this, but they calculated that you could make a trip to Sajay and back on a single full tank. And you can almost make a full round trip to Beagle. And, you know, Colonia is not going to be an issue either. So if you fill up your tritium hold, you're good. So that's the positive side. The negative side is that it removes some new emergent content. Let me explain this. We saw new emergent content with mining. Remember at the triple hotspots at New Baran and Baran, how everybody came together and fleet carriers served as taxis. You may have heard of one called the Bwana boat. Certain Valen, my voice. 63 months. First sub of the day. Chat, show some love if you haven't already. Appreciate it, dude.
Hi, my name's Katrina.
That's the wrong button. So we got some new emergent content with fleet carrier taxiing, with people selling to each other, player-to-player economy, which was kind of intended, and just a whole new part of the game, which was essentially, severely hindered by the latest patches. I think a similar thing has happened here, where the mining part of managing a fleet carrier has been effectively deemed a lot less useful. Me too. Geezer with the tier 3 months chat. Again, love, you know the routine. So the necessity to mine to maintain a fleet carrier has been dwindled. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters because up until that point, what you mine had no purpose other than to make credits. When you mined in Elite Dangerous, the only reason you mined was to make credits. That was it. And you can argue that you did missions, you got reputation, but that's in the end that's credits. So what Tritium provided was a means to an end for mining. You could mine Tritium, and it actually had a purpose. So the DSSA and a lot of the people in FleetCom and exploration groups had a lot of things planned to have different people have different roles. You had explorers, you had miners to maintain fuel. So it gave mining a purpose in long range or long-term expeditions or projects, or what we call emergent content. That essentially has been dwindled big time. There really is very little reason to not just go back to the bubble and buy more Tritium, because you can afford to. Because Tritium is so potent now, if you buy a full tank, you're good for a very, very long time. And you pretty much this kind of removes the stranded thing. This is a quick, boom, quick shot into the stranded thing. It's almost impossible to get stranded now. For real, the only way you get stranded is if you don't bring a mining ship. That's it. That's pretty much it, because the Tritium is so potent now that you can get home. And it's really hard to get stranded too. I remember this is double what it used to be. I don't know if Spanish has been updated, but yeah. So FC's got an Uber buff. Yeah, fleet carrier fuel. It's kind of meaningless now. It really is. Tritium used to be so important, and now it's not. It's trivial now. Especially if you hang out in the bubble, you never have to buy Tritium again. It's gonna be a long time. If you fill up on Tritium, or somebody donates Tritium, you're just never gonna run out. You gotta do a lot of jumping. Now, if you go outside the bubble, you gotta go to Beagle and almost all the way back to run out of Tritium. So it's like Tritium's value in terms of usefulness to a carrier has been diminished. This is what I was told from the FleetCom guys, is that you could go to Sajay and back on a full tank, and you can go to Beagle, I think he said you can go to Beagle and about 5k light years from Seoul on one tank. That's just how potent it is. It's like 125 tons per jump. I think that's what it comes out to be. Maybe a little bit more than that. and you get 10,000 tons. So I think it's effectively 50. What was it? 50. It was 56,000. I can look at the numbers in Discord. I think it was 50 something thousand distance before, and they doubled that. So now it's 100 and something thousand light years. It's like 100 and something thousand light years now. So, so what does that leave with Lagoon Expedition? I kind of feel bad. I feel really bad for Lagoon Expedition. I really do. They've been putting forth a lot of effort, and what Frontier said today means that the hotspots aren't going to change, which means that triple hotspots of Tritium pretty much are not going to be useful at all. Double hotspots will be kind of useful, but triple won't be. So the main focus of this expedition was to find triple hotspots for Tritium, so that the DSSA carriers could jump somewhere and refuel in this sector. It was an extraction kind of a thing. And now that's the double hotspots are still going to be useful. I think that's why the expedition is going to continue. But it's kind of deflating because mining Tritium, the act of mining Tritium has been diminished tremendously. Like you're gonna, a lot of the DSSA carriers aren't gonna need to mine Tritium now. Really, it's that big. This is a big change. I'm looking for the numbers that this guy posted. I forgot what the effective range was on a full tank on a light carrier. I think it was around 50,000. It might have been 50,000. But yeah, that changes a lot when it comes to fleet carriers. Like I said, it's got some positive and it's got some, it solves a problem, which at the end of the day, that's what all people want. They want the problem solved. But at the end of the day, it takes a hammer to some new emergent content that was either in progress or is coming. And that, that made some people a little bit upset. I know you're probably thinking, why would people get upset when you buff fleet carriers as much? Well, like I said, it takes some content that we're going to do, and it pretty much removes it. Just like with fleet carriers and with taxiing and stuff, that whole emergent content is like all but dead now because of all the changes that were made. So that's where we are.